In this lesson, we're going to look at a brief overview of supply and demand. The law of demand states that the quantity demanded will increase as the price of a product decreases. Similarly, the quantity demanded will decrease as the price increases. Now, this should make sense if you're the consumer. If you're going to demand an item, you're going to demand it at a lower price. So, as the price is increasing here, we see that the quantity demanded is going to be decreasing. So this is an inverse relationship. The law of supply states that the quantity supplied for sale will increase as the price of a product increases. And also the quantity supplied will decrease as the price decreases. So if you're the producer, if the price is increasing, you're going to want to supply more at that higher price. So the higher the price of a unit, the greater the incentive is for the manufacturer to produce more. So this is a direct relationship. Notice how when we have a demand function, it's going to be decreasing, supply will be increasing. Now for our examples today, we're just going to look at linear functions, but the functions don't have to be lines, they could be any type of curve. But what we need to notice is that we have a inverse relationship for demand and a direct relationship for supply. Market equilibrium occurs when the quantity of a product demanded is equal to the quantity supplied. So we could see the equilibrium here. That's not to be confused with a break-even point. So when we talked about cost, revenue, and profit, their intersection was called the break-even point. The break-even, remember, is when there is no profit. The equilibrium is different. The equilibrium is when the quantity demanded and supplied is equal. These terms are not to be used interchangeably. They mean different things. If I'm in this region of my graph, so when the demand exceeds the supply, there is a market shortage. So that means more people are wanting to buy the product, but there's not enough available. However, if I'm in this region of my graph, when the supply is exceeding the demand, there's a market surplus. So there's so much product on the shelves, but no one's really buying it. Let's take a look at an example. We want to find the market equilibrium for the following supply and demand functions, where P is the price and Q is the quantity. And we're going to solve this graphically in a 30 by 30 window. To solve this graphically, the first thing we need to do is input both of the equations. So we're going to go to y equals. In y1, I'm going to put the demand function using x as my input variable. So negative 3x plus 36. And y2 is going to be my supply function, 4x plus 1. In the directions, we're told to use a 30 by 30 window. So I'm going to go to the window up top. Go from negative 30 to positive 30, and you can make your scale whatever you want. I'm going to make my scale 5s. And I'm going to do the same for the y-axis since we're looking at a square window here. Once I have my window set, I'm going to go to graph. We see our demand and then our supply function. In order to find this intersection here, we're going to do second trace, option number 5. We want to use the left and right arrows to get close to that intersection, just to help the calculator approximate it better. Hit enter 3 times, and we get our intersection here at 5, 21. So my market equilibrium point is 5, 21. And what that means is when the price is $21, consumers are willing to purchase and producers are willing to supply 5 units. In this example, if the supply is given by P equals 0.1 Q plus 20 and demand is given by 130 minus 0.1 Q, we want to find the market equilibrium point. So we're going to do this algebraically. Since this is 2 equations with 2 variables or 2 unknowns, we could solve this by a system of equations by either substitution or elimination. I find that substitution usually works pretty well, so I'm going to set the 2 equations equal to each other in order to find the quantity. I'm going to add 0.1 Q to both sides and then subtract the 20 from both sides. So we're collecting our variables together, we're collecting our constants together. Dividing by that 0.2 Q, we get a quantity of 550. In order to find the price, you can plug into either one of these two equations. I'm going to pick the first equation, but if I pick the second equation, I should get the exact same value of $75. So that means my market equilibrium point is 550, 75. So equilibrium occurs when the quantity is 500 and the price is $75. In this last example, we have a group of wholesalers. They're willing to buy 50 dryers per month if the price is $200 and 30 per month if the price is $300. The manufacturer is willing to supply 20 dryers if the price is $210 and 30 dryers if the price is $230. Assuming that the resulting supply and demand functions are linear, we want to find the equilibrium point for this market. If the price is $100, is there a market surplus or shortage? What if the price is $300? So there's a lot of information here, so we're going to organize that information. The first sentence here gives me the information about my demand curve. So 50 dryers per month if the price is $200 and 30 per month if the price is $300. Since I'm assuming this is linear, I can create two ordered pairs out of that information. Here I have it highlighted in blue, and then create a demand function. So 50, 200 and 30, 300. I'm going to use that information to find the slope and then use the point slope formula to find my equation of a line. So my slope I get to be -5. Plug that into my point slope form. Remember, when you do point slope form, it doesn't matter which point you use. I'm just going to use the one that has smaller numbers in it. And then I distributed the -5 to simplify my equation. So my demand curve is P equals -5Q plus 450. I'm going to do the exact same thing for my supply curve. I'm going to create my two ordered pairs. Here you see I have it in green. 20, 210 and 30, 230. I'm going to use that information to find the slope and then plug it into the point slope form. Remember what we talked about earlier, demand is inverse, so my slope should be negative. Supply is direct, so my slope should be positive. And I see that that's true. Now that I have a supply and a demand function, I can solve it by substitution. So setting those two equations equal to each other, I get a quantity of 40. I plug it into, again, either one of my equations. I plugged it into the supply equation to find that my price is $250. So market equilibrium occurs when the quantity is 40 dryers and the price is $250. So if my price is $100, that means my price is below the market equilibrium. So if the price is below the market equilibrium, more people are going to want to buy that dryer, which means we're going to have a market shortage. If my price is $300, I'm above the market equilibrium, so less people are going to want to pay that higher price. Then I'll have a market surplus because I'll have more dryers left over that won't be sold.